On today's show, a detailed look at this new Browns defense. What do the Browns need to make it work? We go deep diving and a look at this Browns roster and a very special guest, Daddy Magic Matt Menard from All Elite Wrestling with our NFL Sick Picks, all coming up on the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Cut back by Chubb. He's to the 10. He's still running to the 5. He dips outside left. He's going in. Touchdown. What a run. Nick Chubb.
It's going to be sick.
All right, everybody. It's conference championship weekend around the National Football League. One day our Browns will be there. One day. But not today. Not this year. We'll get into all the offseason stuff. We'll make sure we do some deep diving into the potential draft picks, rookie. Remember, no first or third round picks. So we'll dive deep into that later on in the show. Very special guest, like I said off the top. One of my favorites from the Jericho Appreciation Society, Canada's own Daddy Magic, Matt Menard from Montreal. He's in All Elite Wrestling, and he knows his NFL. He does some great NFL bets and picks. So we're going to talk some wrestling. We're going to get his picks, my picks, a little bit later on in the show to do some prop plays as well, see if we can win you some money, have some fun. But I want to do a real deep dive into this Browns defense. And I came across this article on Cleveland.com from a gentleman, former high school football coach and rights contributor to Cleveland.com, Lance Reisland. Let's bring him in right now. Lance, welcome, sir. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I came across your article and I was reading it and I'm like, man, this is the perfect description and breakdown for Browns fans who maybe need to learn a little bit more, want to learn more about this Jim Schwartz defense. Because, Lance, we hear there's so many buzzwords in football, wide 9, wide 5, 4-3, 3-4. And sometimes it's like, okay, maybe it bounces around your head. You kind of know, but you don't know. You broke it down so wonderfully here. So I wanted to go through that with you. First of all, the hire of Jim Schwartz. What was your initial reaction? Do you like the hire?
Oh, yeah, I love the hire. The reason why is because he's established. And when you have, with Stefanski being the offensive coordinator as well as head coach, I felt he needed a guy on the other side of the ball. It's kind of the head coach of the defense. At a much lower level, when I was a high school coach, I was also the offensive coordinator. There's just so much going on. So all those fine details through the week on game day, you got to kind of have a head coach on that side of the ball. And I think he's a good fit. Once they get some D tackles, I think they need to improve their D tackles. But I think he's going to be a good fit, and he's going to emphasize the strengths of the Browns right now.
Definitely. We'll get into what the Browns need for this defense to work a little bit later on as Lance is coming to us just outside of God's country, Cleveland, Ohio. But Lance, let's pull up some pictures here from your article because I want people to get the visual. Of course, you can check this out, folks, Cleveland.com and on Lance's Twitter, at Lance Reisland, Reisland. Check that out. It's right there, and he does some great film breakdown. Take us through what this Jim Schwartz defense is, because when we look at it, and we're looking at this from the Eagles' perspective, the green jerseys, folks, this is a lot different of a look than your traditional guys kind of clumped together.
So, yeah, what you're going to get here is actually the wide 9. This is actually wide 5. And in the NFL, you're going to get wide 5s more than you get wide 9s. So if you go down, start from the center out, it kind of goes 0, 2, 4, 6, head up on the center, guard, tackle, tight end. And as you're working your way out, outside the tackle is that wide 5, outside the tight end is that wide 9. And basically what it means is that they're going to set the edge by alignment, and they're going to be wide outside that tackle. They're going to create some great short angles, short edges for those rush ends. And they're going to set the run game because there's two underlying philosophies as a defense coordinator. You're either trying to filter in the middle or spill everything to the outside. And Schwartz is a guy who loves to filter everything through the middle. This wide 9 by alignment gets them a great pass rushing look, and it also creates an edge in the run game.
So what that would mean, let's go to the next picture, guys. So with this setup, you need obviously strong defensive tackles. You got the edge, so you get a full head of steam for the pass rush. How important are the linebackers, and what type of linebacker do you need? Because when you have that much space, I would think, Lance, you need the D tackles to make that pressure. But then right away, you need a couple linebackers who can stop any sort of run or with that funneling in, right?
Yeah, no, the big thing is the defensive tackle. Regardless of scheme, the Browns' defensive tackles have to be more stout against the run. So even though Schwartz is a wide 9 guy, the defensive tackles at those 3 and 2 eyes, they got to be able to take on those double teams better. And they really struggled with that this year. If you look at the if you look 4, 5, and 6, this is what he does very well. He create one-on-one matchups for defensive linemen. So those two backers walked up, which I have number 3 and 4 because they got 6 in the box. He's often going to show 6 guys coming. He usually only brings 4. He will bring 5 and 6-man pressure, but he's going to show a 6-man surface here. And what 3 and 4 do is that the offensive linemen, they don't get the luxury to know who's coming. So they got to account for all 6 guys here. And by having 3 and 4 walked up there, the right tackle is now one-on-one with the right end. And because that center's got to assume that 4's coming. And he often does this where he's going to create 3 over 2 or 4 over 3 matchups for his defensive linemen. And he creates one really, really tough matchups for those offensive linemen.
Right. And we see that right there. So now if we go to the next picture, so fake pressure, and I like that because you don't know who's coming out of those 4 or 5, maybe 6. And now we see the edge Barnett on the edge come around, but then those linebackers drop back.
So, yeah, you're going to see the center slides left here. So the center's going to slide left. The left guard's going to slide left. The center is going to slide to his right because he assumed that backer was coming. So now you have the right guard. He's one-on-one. You have the right tackle. He's one-on-one. The left guard, left tackle. The tight end's got to stay. What they've done here is not only have they created a one-on-one on the right side, they've also created a one-on-one on the left side with the tight end. So they've created a matchup problem where the center is actually blocking air now. And Schwartz will often do that because the offensive lineman had to account for that linebacker, even though that linebacker dropped. So this is a very good look. So what you got is you got a bunch of one-on-ones here with the center blocking no one. So it's really a good setup by Schwartz.
Yeah, and it creates a little bit of chaos because I'm sure for the offensive lineman, if there's no one in front of him, it's like, what? And then for that split second, they're like, what do I do? And so then you have to adjust. Let's go to the next picture there. As we see what happens next in that sequence. Okay, so now we see, like you said, the tight end one-on-one coverage, and that's obviously a mismatch for the pass rusher.
Yeah, and if you continue with this play, I try to always do it in 3 or 4 pictures and kind of keep a visual. But what ends up happening here is very, very simple. The tight end gets beat, and if you keep the play going, the right tackle gets beat as well because they're both stuck in one-on-ones. As if they didn't show those linebackers, they'd be able to slide that left tackle out to help that tight end. But that left tackle had to stay because the backers are showing in a gap. So with a Schwartz defense, you're going to see a bunch of guys walked up in the line of scrimmage, especially in passing downs. If you get 2nd, 6+, you're going to see a ton of 6-man surface creating one-on-ones.
Okay, I like that. And then we see, all the action on that right. You have the left free runner really after he gets that mismatch. Let's go to the last picture here. And we'll see what that looks like there. I really like this defense if the pieces are there. If we can switch, I think there's one more, boys, right? If that's the last. Oh, yeah, I think there's one more. Okay, yeah, and the different defensive alignments right here. Take us through this. That's sort of at the top of the picture there.
Well, it's funny. I had a lot, like you were saying, there's a lot of tag words, and I had a lot of people ask me over the last month, what does a wide 9 mean? And so I did was I just took this right out of my playbook, and this is just how you line up, how a defensive lines up, regardless of the front, regardless of if they're an odd front and even front. If you look, I have in the blue, I have head up means they're head up on the center, guard, tackle, and tight end, and those are all even numbers, 2, 4, 6. If you just work your way out, then it's the outside shoulder. And the tight end's the only weird one. And I always laugh because I'm like, I have no idea. I just learned it from my father. But if you look at the center, head up is a 0, and then either side would be a 1. Head up on the guard is a 2. Inside is 2I, obviously the I standing for inside. Outside the guard is a 3. You have a 4, a head up on the tackle, a 4I inside the tackle. You have the 5 outside the tackle. Obviously, the term wide 5 means he's just going to be wider off that tackle.
Right.
Then you have the 6, which is head up on the tight end. And then for some reason, who knows, football people, the 7 is inside eye of the tight end. And then you get that 9 technique. And obviously all a wide 9 is he's just wider and he's not covering that that tight end, which can be problematic in the run game because one of the things you want to do with that defensive line is you want to get your hands on those tackles so they don't run to your linebacker. So there's some problems that the Browns face here moving forward in terms of personnel as well.
Well, and that's why that personnel is so important. And if we look at it, Lance, boy, you can make a case that the Browns at defensive tackle really need a star defensive tackle free agent signing. You probably need another free agent signing, a guy who can start. You probably need to draft somebody. You also need another pass rusher opposite Myles Garrett. That's an upgrade from Alex Wright. And then you got some linebackers and maybe even the safety, depending how Jim Schwartz evaluates it. Because right now, to me, you don't want Grant Delpit necessarily as that guy that needs to go sideline to sideline. He's more of that gunner type that Schwartz could like. Is John Johnson that? I don't know. Like, it really seems outside of cornerback, you have a lot of needs to fill, and you don't have a lot of draft picks. So how do you see this playing out? Because no matter how good the scheme is, if you don't have the personnel, it's not going to work.
Well, like I said, first thing it does is going to create one-on-ones in the pass rush. So that's the strength. The problem with personnel for me is that those defensive tackles, regardless, they have to be able to hold up. So I just a couple of articles on some free agent guys and some guys who are draft eligible. And for me, those guys have to get bigger. So regardless of scheme, I think secondly, in terms of they just got to be heavier guys that can take on double teams. The linebackers are small. However, I think they can run. If they get protected a little bit, I think they'll be okay. The secondary, I think actually this defense is going to – I think the guy who's going to thrive most in the defense is going to be Grant Delpit because he's going to be down in the box. So he's going to be that guy that comes down the box. He's going to – when he gets to tight end, he's going to have C-gap, run fit responsibility at times. So I think he's going to thrive. He's going to be the guy that comes on blitzes. He's going to be the guy that's when teams go 12 personnel or 21 personnel or 13 personnel, he's going to be the guy down in there. I think John Johnson was out of position this year. I'm not sure if he's the guy because I have not seen it with the Browns, and I have not watched a ton of Rams stuff when he was with the Rams. But he is a guy who's very intelligent and a guy who can run. So I'm interested to see him in the secondary. But without question, obviously they need an edge rusher, but without question, those interior guys are the guys they need to improve and upgrade. I do think Taven Bryan is a fantastic nickel 3 technique. I think he's a guy that in Schwartz's defense can play, especially if they can get to third down. But they need some first and second down guys. Obviously Daron Payne type guy who, which with Schwartz, it's a little different than when Woods was there because now not only do they want heavier guys, but they want guys that can pass rush. So they want some 3-down guys. Daron Payne fits that bill. I really like Mozzie Smith from Michigan. There's some guys out there that I think can really fit that bill. But that's without question where they need to upgrade.
Well, especially with more quarterbacks being mobile and not even a run-first guy, but just being able to move around, you need that initial push to get them back, get them uncomfortable, to allow for those pass rushes to come around. Because far too many times, Lance, we saw Myles Garrett just missing. And it's because there was no pressure to force that quarterback back and pause him for a moment. So that's what was really frustrating. I'm with you. Yeah, you need to be able to upgrade and some actual starting caliber. We don't need rotation guys. We need NFL can be creative with salary cap. That's what the eggheads there can do. Andrew Berry and the smart guys, right? You can figure out the cash, get us the players.
And it's funny when you talk about what they need is that, one of the things they need in the run game is they need to anchor in. So what happens when you don't anchor in and it's hard to explain to people. And I do my best to say this as an offensive coordinator, here's how I would think. So what the Browns don't do is they don't stop the run. Now, they're not always getting gashed for big runs, but they're getting constantly gashed for 4 to 6 yards.
Yeah.
So as an offensive coordinator, you're coming up against the Browns and you're 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. So you're unable to unleash Myles Garrett because he still has run responsibility at 2nd and 4 and 2nd and 5. Now you're talking 2nd 8, 2nd 9. Now you're thinking 60 to 80% pass. So what the Browns got to do is they got to find guys that can anchor in there on 1st and 2nd down so they can get the 3rd down. And then they can, kind of unleash Myles in terms of get him in that wide 9, get a wide 3 technique, cover that center, create some one-on-ones there. But until they can stop the run on 1st down, that's not going to happen. And I'm still a huge believer in stopping the run and running the ball is going to win games. And I know elite quarterbacks win championships, but to win week after week after week with weather and things that happen, you got to be able to stop the run.
Absolutely. Testify. Yes, for sure, for sure. And hopefully Schwartz coming in with that experience, with that proven success, we can be rid of the nonsense, the Jadeveon Clowney stuff, that have accountability. And this is a voice that these players are going to have to listen to because he can point to a Super Bowl ring on his hand and years of success. So I think that's a great fit. But yeah, Lance, now the next question is, can they get the personnel to do it? But I'm with you. I think at least for Schwartz from a confidence level, as long as he can get some pieces in, Browns fans should feel pretty good.
Well, I was down at camp all last year. I got the opportunity to go down and watch training camp, and I was there every single day. And I'm interested to see a lot of those guys. There's a lot to be said about chemistry. There's a lot to be said about believing in a teammate. And I'm not sure if the Browns are quite there yet defensively in terms of I don't know if they rely on each other. I'm not sure if the chemistry's there. They need to be a little bit more physical up front. I got a chance to watch them in the Philly in Schwartz scrimmage. I don't want to say they lost because it's always a very controlled atmosphere. But they need a little bit of nastiness in the defense. They need some accountability. I think Schwartz brings leadership. There's a lot to be said about the scheme. But I think what you just said is the most important, and that's the most important for me as a coach. I think he's going to demand chemistry. He's going to demand accountability. It's the old Bill Belichick, Saban, where, back in the 90s when he was with those guys. Everybody has a job, do your job, and you have a role. And whatever that role is, star in your role. And that's kind of what the Browns are lacking. They got some pieces. And, they got some guys who had to upgrade some spots, but they have some pieces that they can make this work quickly.
Improve the communication, improve the accountability. Lance, tell people where they can find your work, man, because I'm on your Twitter. You got a whole bunch of other good stuff as well out there. This has been a very, very an educational experience for me and us Browns fans. Where can people find you?
I'm just at Twitter, just at Lance Risen. Very simple. You'll see Coach Riz at the end of that, but it's just at Lance Risen, LanceReisland.
Beautiful, brother. Well, thank you so much. Let's do it again soon.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, there he goes, Lance Reisland, high school football coach and contributor to Cleveland.com. Very interesting. But the Browns got to get those defensive tackles, guys. Okay, there's no two ways about it. You can't be nickel and diamond. You can't be getting analytically cute, because we saw what happened when you got cute analytically at defensive tackle. You punted on the position. You went fast, small, whatever. Think about it this way. Taven Bryan had a career year with 3 sacks. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And that was his best year. You got to go figure out the cash. Like I said, that's why you got all those capologists and stuff. The cap is an illusion in the NFL. It's not like in the NHL. It's an illusion. You can make it work. Get me some big names. Get me some guys. That Payne guy is perfect because he's 25. He's ascending. Maybe a veteran, maybe like a Fletcher Cox who we worked with in Philly. And a draft pick. You got a lot to do on that defense. But the roadmap at least is there. There's a roadmap to success. Will Andrew Berry and the Browns actually follow it? Folks, remember, hey, our buddies at Betfred Sports, betting in Ohio, people. Okay? It's here. It's active. It's going. Hey, they paid out. If you bet on the Bengals, they're an official sponsor of the Bengals. If you pick the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, they already paid you out. How cool is that? Wish I would have done that. I didn't bet on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. If you did, they already paid you out. They have so many surprises and cool stuff. And one thing that's underrated, our buddy Grant, who was on the Dog Bowl roundtable last week, he contacted me. He's like, and I got like a login issue with my account. I said, well, just call the Betfred Sportsbook customer service. He's like, the customers, people never pick up. The Betfred Sportsbook, underrated example of why you should go with this sportsbook is the customer service. Messaged me back 5 minutes later. It's like, Andy, I couldn't believe it. I'm fixed. People actually talked to me. It was tremendous. The customer service, the gameplay, the props, everything's easy. The bonuses, you still get huge bonuses, still enter to win weekly prizes, all at Betfred Sportsbook. And how do you get all those bonuses and weekly prizes? All you got to do in the show description, people, just click on the link. It's right there for you. Just click on it, deposit, make that first deposit, boom, you're on your way. Okay, we're going to get to some fun with some NFL picks and some wrestling talk up next on the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. Okay, people, time to earn some money. Time to get some NFL picks in. But I'm bringing some help along, folks. I'm bringing some help. You guys know you watch the show. I'm a big wrestling fan, huge all-elite wrestling fan, and an even bigger Jericho Appreciation Society fan, specifically of one guy. Daddy Magic, Canada's own Daddy Magic, Matt Menard. Matt, how are you, sir? Welcome.
What's going on, man? I'm doing great over here. Doing great. Appreciate the intro. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I feel like everybody says it. Like every interview, you have to get that, and you gotta say thank you for the intro. I should bring you everywhere with me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'll be your hype guy. I'll introduce you. Sports entertainer. I can't get that done. You're the master.
That's good. Entertainer.
That's my favorite. I legitimately every time I like shush the kids. I'm like, shut it, quiet. We got to hear the first part before Judas. Judas is great. We got to hear the sports entertainer.
Well, actually, Jericho has actually cut it out of the Judas song.
What?
He cut it out. It's only now. It's only on our song on our like Angelo's and I's
Oh,
The girls, Sammy and Danny's and Hager's theme also. But I think it was hurting the Judas Pop between you and me.
Well, if there's ever a fallout, we'll know the moment. We'll know the beginning of the split. That'll never happen, though. Never happen.
No,
It's
never gonna happen.
It would be great. Well, hey, thanks for being here, man. And look, my kids are huge fans of yours. I'm a huge fan, and we're just thrilled to have you on. But you're also a big Kansas City Chiefs and NFL fan. So I thought, hey, you know what? Why not blend both worlds? We'll talk some wrestling. We'll talk some football.
I love it. I'm ready to go. Let's get going.
Let's go. Okay, so your boy, Patty Mahomes, he's got a bad leg. He's got that high ankle sprain, usually a 6-week plus injury. How concerned are you as a fan and really as a bettor that part of Mahomes' magic is his mobility? He can move, he can create in the pot. If he has to stay put, how concerned are you?
Very concerned. It's everything. I'm extremely concerned. I thought it was the second I saw him go down on last Saturday, I was like, oh, that's it. We're not going to win the Super Bowl. It's okay. It's hard to win the Super Bowl. I think Tom Brady has kind of ruined our perception of how hard it is to win that title, you know. But you know, it's everything, and it's going to hinder him. I know. I've been watching the videos. I'm sure you have too. Him getting off the steps this week, you know, a couple times. Right. Watching him do his warm-ups and his trots, his warm-ups in practice. He was handing off the ball yesterday, man, threw a couple passes. I mean, he looks okay, but what are we judging it on? You know what I mean? Nobody's coming after him. You know, so we'll see when he has to pivot. You know, when he's got to go the other direction, when he's got to do a big banana to get free and find Kelsey open, and you know. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, man. I'm a very negative fan. I'm just going to warn you. So I'm not very optimistic.
Listen, Matt, this is a Brown show. This show thrives on negativity. This show thrives on negativity, brother.
Good luck. Yeah.
We needed good luck for 20 years.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, bro. That's fucking rough. I don't know if I could curse beat that out, but you know.
It is very true. It is rough, but that's okay. You know what was interesting though, when the video you're talking about with him trotting around out there, the line in Vegas, the sportsbooks actually
I know
the line.
I know. Like so the Bengals were the I guess so I guess the opening line originally had Chiefs as favored. And then when it came out with the high ankle sprain, it flipped the other way, right? By 2.5 points, I think. Yeah. And then after yesterday, it flipped back.
It flipped back because he was shown not dragging his leg.
Yeah, that's a mistake. I think that's a big mistake. I think it's all a work. I mean, don't put this out there, but you know, we'll see.
It's a work. He's not selling. He'll take off the fake.
No, I love the Kevin Nash.
yeah. Get the Nash thing. I will say this, if we're looking at prop plays though, Pat Mahomes anytime touchdown, you got to scroll right. It's a plus 550 for not like him.
No, you take that. Yeah, you take that.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
If he's out there anyway, I can see him trying to get cute.
I mean, of course. I mean, you saw it the other night. The big jump pass to MVS. You know,
like on the bad foot.
Yeah, on the bad foot. So and he's going to play. He's going to score. It's just, you know. How? We'll see it's just what's going to happen. I think a lot depends on the run game. How does Pacheco do? How does McKinnon block?
Yeah. McKinnon's been an underrated addition. I really like McKinnon.
I mean, I think they pointed that out on the broadcast big time on Saturday, like Collinsworth. And what's the other brother's name? What's his name? Tirico, Mike Tirico.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they pointed that out big time. The number one I think that's why they have him in often. I think Pat has him as a security blanket, you know?
Yeah, and they're going to need him, especially give him a little bit of extra time. Pacheco anytime touchdown plus 145. I don't mind that because he's been coming. I don't think he's being talked about enough. His contribution compared to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's going to be key for the Bengals to try to stop him because he's been hot.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think Clyde might play. I think he's coming off the injured list or the injured reserve.
I think you're right.
Am I wrong? I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it might be a game time thing, but I think he is coming back. But regardless, I think you got to go with Pacheco. He's just
no, they will, but they'll rotate all three of them. But here's the thing, though. Like even the other night, Pacheco had a great first half, right? Started off hot, but then you didn't really see him in the second half, and I think it's because of the blocking of McKinnon. I think he's just comfortable with them out there, you know.
Yep, I think you're right. So when we look at this game, we got the over/under set at 48. Are you feeling with Mahomes' injury? Is this going to be as high scoring as we were hoping? Like I was hoping a big one, you know?
No, I think I see like a 21-17 type of score. You know, where's that take? What's that? Can you do the quick math on that? What's that? 38 points?
Yeah, that's under.
You know, so
yeah. Because really, both these games are pick'ems. They're like 1.5 and 2.5 favorites. There's no point taking the spread, really. It's just kind of money line type of deal. So and when you look at this Cincinnati team, Matt, you have that defense, that DJ Reader. That's going to be he is a plug up that middle. That they're going to have to be careful with that. That's a tough defense as well.
Yeah, it all depends on the O line. How does Creed Humphreys and the boys hold up? You know.
Yeah.
That's really where it all that's where it all lays right now.
So official prediction, if we're given a magic pick, a daddy magic pick, who are you taking?
I'm taking the Bengals.
Taking the Bengals.
I just am. It's just what it is.
I know. We got to do it. And
but
here's the under on the money line for the Bengals.
Here's the other thing, though. Like, they've beaten them. I'm saying I'm taking the Bengals. That's just because that's just what I got to do to get my head in a place to prepare for the suffering. So please don't take this as any betting advice. It's very personal.
Yes.
But if Mahomes was healthy, and we'll see how healthy he is come Sunday, it's like the Bengals won 3 in a row. They're not going to win 4 in a row if you think logically. What are the odds of them winning 4 in a row? It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and these weren't blowouts either. We're not talking, these are all close games.
There was all 3-point games.
Yeah.
If Kelsey doesn't fumble earlier in the season, the Chiefs go down and win that game. What happened in the playoffs last year? Mahomes melts down in the second half, up 21-3 going into halftime, and they screwed up on the goal line and ran out of time. That the odds of that happening astronomical, not going to happen again.
Yeah.
And even in their regular season game last season, I felt like it was a fluke. We had a big lead, we let it go, and Chase and what's the other brother's name? The other receiver,
Higgins,
right?
Higgins,
they just Burrow just throws up the ball and miracles just happen.
I know.
So
that's a fun rivalry though. These two young QBs going back and forth. So we'll see how Patty's leg. That's the key. The most expensive leg in football. Now the early game, 3:00 Eastern on Sunday. 49ers, Eagles, NFC Championship. I have to say this. I don't think the Eagles are getting enough respect now. I think this Brock Purdy Cinderella story, I'm getting a little sick of the national media shoving it down my throat. I don't think Jalen Hurts is getting enough respect.
Yeah, really. That's funny because I'm one of the people that didn't respect the Eagles at all year. Not at all. The Eagles. Where'd they come from? What happened? Like, were they around last year? I don't even remember, No,
like the thing was with the transition with Jalen Hurts, the coaching job has been phenomenal because you started with him just kind of as a run guy. And then the transition to include that passing it's something like Lamar Jackson hasn't been able to do. You have the pieces around it. They've added on defense. And now you look at this game, 2.5-point favorites are the Eagles at home. And these defenses are good. Like this is going to be, and both teams are well coached. This is really a pick 'em to me.
But it's also like, who are the Eagles? Who did they beat all season? Did they beat anybody? Honestly,
great point. Yeah,
right. Did they beat? And that division. I'm sorry. I like the NFC East. Right. It's still. I still think it's dog shit personally. Even though three teams did make the playoffs, you got to give them credit. But the Giants are frauds. I can't believe they beat the Vikings the way they did.
Well, the Vikings are they were the fakest 13-win team I ever saw.
That's for sure. That's for sure. My poor father, he's a Vikings fan. My father and Don Callis, nobody suffered more than these men.
That's right. The best regular season quarterback in history, Kirk Cousins.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. Yeah, you like that. Yeah.
So what do you make of this 49ers team? Because if Matt, if we just take the names away and we say, hey, you're on your third quarterback, you automatically think you're not making the playoffs. These guys are in the championship.
It's crazy. It's crazy, right? Just goes to speak for the talent around the QB, right? I mean, but even what's his name, Trey
Lance. Yeah,
Trey Lance. I mean, nobody believed in him, right? And it was the talent around him. And then Garoppolo, no, they want to get rid of him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so now we're on Purdy, which great name, Brock Purdy. One of the greatest names of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl 3 years ago against the Chiefs, and it's pretty much the same team, right? You still got your Kittle, your Bosa, you still got the Debo. So same coach, right? Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
So they're obviously a great team. Yeah.
Well,
no surprises there.
And that system is and this takes nothing away from Brock Purdy, but very plug and play. If you have a cerebral quarterback that can go in and follow the offense and realize that, hey, get it to your playmakers. The 49ers, 6 years in a row, have led the NFL in yards after catch. This year they bring in McCaffrey. Just give it to McCaffrey and Debo. Let him go.
Oh, I didn't even factor that in. I forgot about McCaffrey. Yeah, absolutely.
Guys,
just don't turn the ball over. That's all you got to do. I could go play quarterback for the 49ers.
You just got, as long as you can throw 5 yards to McCaffrey, you're good.
That's it. Just hit him, hit Kittle over the middle, and you're fine.
That's all.
I can hand it off to Debo coming around, on a jet sweep.
Little pitch.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just do that. The question is going to be to me is that Purdy looked a bit rattled last week, and credit to the team they overcame. Philly fans, as you know, pretty nasty.
Ruthless. Yeah, they boo Santa Claus, right? Yeah.
Yes, they boo
Santa
Claus. They're pretty nasty. So what's your prediction for this one? We got over under set at 46.5, money line plus 130 on the Niners and Eagles 2.5 point favorites.
The Eagles are 2.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nothing, right? At home, you're supposed to get 3.
Pick them again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a toss up. I don't know. Go with whoever you want to go. I don't have a. Who do I want to see win? That's.
Who do you want the Chiefs to play?
Who do I want the Chiefs to play? That's a great question. Both are good teams. I don't think. I don't know. Do I want the same Super Bowl matchup as 3 years ago? It'd be fun, a different matchup. Have the Eagles in there. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't care.
The great thing
is, I have to care? I'm a terrible sports talking head. I don't care.
I don't care. Hot take.
What do you think, Stephen A?
Daddy Magic doesn't care. Oh right? My God. Yeah. I think the great thing is you have all 4 teams. There's not a bad matchup combo.
Right.
You're winning either way for the Super Bowl.
And I think the Eagles are frauds. I really, really do. So maybe the 49ers, so we could shut them up, Well,
49ers, Bengals says Daddy Magic picks. I'm going to see, for real, I'm going to see if I can get a sponsor next year for next football season. We'll have Magic picks, and we're going to pay Daddy Magic to come on and give some Magic picks each week. What do you think?
That sounds great to me. Yeah,
let's get a couple wrestling questions in because we've had some in. First of all, I got to ask you this. The transition in part, because you're still wrestling, obviously, and still out there with the JAS in AEW, but the commentary side, how did you get into that? Because that's really grown. And I got to be honest, to watch Dark, me and the kids were like, come on, we're watching Daddy Magic and talk with Paul White. It's great.
Isn't that wild? It's me and Paul White, me and the Big Show. What is happening in life?
What a combo.
Yeah, so I was hurt. I've told the story a couple times, but I got hurt over actually in the blood and guts match. I tore my my labrum and my rotator cuff. Luckily, I didn't need surgery. I did some stem cell rehab. But while I was out, I was still being brought to TV because Chris wants us all at TV. So I'm just doing that little segment. I'm just like, all day, I'm not planning matches. I'm not on board. So I asked Tony Schiavone. He's like, hey, what if I gave commentary, a shot? And he goes, he ran it by TK and they loved the idea and they put me out there and it's been going great, man. I love it. Look, I'll tell you this. I'm going to make a prediction right now. And Taz might not be a fan of this, but when all is said and done, I will be the greatest color commentator of all time. I'm talking 25 years down the line. All right. When I call it a day, I'm going to be the greatest color commentary of all time.
You heard it here. They're going to be able to trace it back to this episode. Of the
That's right.
Podcast.
Yeah.
I love it. You do such a great job. Add that totally different twist to it and make it really fun. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all the love that I've been getting online too. And there's a couple haters, but they can screw themselves, All right, Matt. So next we got questions from the audience. Namely, I have to play favoritism. My daughter Kennedy and son Nolan, like I said, big fans of yours. They want to know, what is your favorite moment so far in the Jericho Appreciation Society? What's your top moment right now?
That's a tough question. That's a real tough question because there's been so many. There's been so many moments. Anytime that we put together an outfit and you know what I mean, and we get the outfits in the mail and we play dress up a little bit and we look like a boy band or something.
Yes.
I love those moments. I think we've done it a handful of times. We just did it in LA at the Forum the other night. That was a blast. Yeah, the rip of the pants. The rip of the pants. That was actually my idea. I think the quote was, what if, because Chris had suggested snap pants for some reason. And I said, what if we rip them off like we're Party Boy from, Jackass, right?
Yeah.
And they loved the idea. So we ran with that. I love those jackets too. I don't know what you call it, but they shined real nice.
Yeah.
So anytime we get the dress up, I love, but one particular moment, just all of us together after the Anarchy in the Arena match with our arms in the air is a beautiful moment. There's a couple pictures of it, and I love those pictures.
Yeah.
Just surreal moment with my childhood idol Chris Jericho. You know what I mean? We're all covered in blood. It says 17,000 people in Las Vegas on pay-per-view. It was the dream. It was really the dream, you know. So it would have to be that entire night, you know.
It's and that promo you cut after that, I think, came out a week or two later with the blood's on your face. Sensational.
Yeah.
Like,
thank
you. The emotion, like,
yeah,
for real. That was absolute top notch. You could feel that.
Thank you.
Two more questions for you. You've been very generous with your time. You're as far as in the wrestling career, you've had a long career. Who's been sort of an inspiration to you? Now, you mentioned Jericho, but let's say before that or other than, coming in through the years, bringing you in, somebody always gives that little bit of break or opportunity. Who's that for you that sort of guided you maybe at first or along the way?
That's a tough question. I'm something like Kevin Owens is a guy who has, I mean, we kind of came up together. And anytime he's had an opportunity to bring me along anywhere and open a door and give me an opportunity, he did it. You know what I mean? And I had to walk through that door, but he's really the guy. You know what I mean? Him and Sami Zayn as well. You know, two very close friends of mine who have helped us out quite a bit. So I would definitely say those two. And if you're looking for like somebody older, like a legend or of some type, I mean, my time at WWE at the Performance Center, I would have to say like a Terry Taylor. You know, is a great guy, a mentor, a friend. We still text to this day every now and then and check in. And I know if I have a question or something, you know what I mean? I also feel like I know what he'll tell me before he tells me. But he's definitely someone as well, yeah.
A good sounding board.
Yeah, for sure.
And the names in the, if anyone hasn't checked it out, the list of potential names that Matt picked before Daddy Magic. I listened to it on Jericho's podcast. You guys go check it out. It is the funniest. I've listened to it twice. I have to say, Matt, when I get my hands, and it's on pre-order, the AEW video game Fight Forever, I am instantly creating a summertime Matt Lee. That's my favorite.
That's so good. That came about actually. So I got to give credit here. It was me and my buddy James McGee from back home in Montreal. I didn't get to say it on Talk Is Jericho. But Chris, because I had gone by, sorry, I'm stuttering here, but I had gone by Big Magic, and I had mentioned to Chris, it was last March, I think it was the day of the pay-per-view in Orlando Revolution, and I said, hey, I want to go by, because he had mentioned to us if there's going to be a time, because we were going to become a group. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. We're going to become like the stable, like the following week after Revolution, and so we get a group chat going, and he goes, if there's a time you want to try something new, now would be the opportunity. It's like we're almost doing a reset, you know, for everybody. So I had mentioned to him that day, I go, I want to go by Big Magic. And he goes, okay, cool. And then he says, well, Big, you know, we already have Jake. He's kind of the big guy. Like, do you have anything else? And then because I had stated that I wanted to have a nickname or whatever, he's like, okay, what if we all have nicknames? And that's kind of where that came from. Anyway, so as I'm trying to think of a different name. I got together with my buddy James McGee, who's a super creative guy. He's he's involved in wrestling, but he's big in acting and improv in the Canadian scene. Anyway, and he's the guy that I sat down and had a glass of wine and we just pounded out all these names. Just had a great time and just sent them over to Chris. You know what I mean? That's where that came from.
$7 a gallon.
Oh, yeah.
Lee. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but I love it. I don't even understand it, but I love it.
Well, I mean, I think I have to up it now with the gas prices. It's not even that exaggerated anymore.
What's your favorite out of the list?
I think that one. I think says $7 a gallon.
Mississippi mud pie was sweet.
Yeah,
these are just like, I think trademark all of them. You know, there can be you can be like the Mick Foley, come into a battle royal 8 different times. You're good. 8 different names.
Oh no, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Okay, very last one for you here. This has been coming a lot on Twitter to me. We said we're going to have you on. I've never said this in my almost 18 years in the broadcast industry, Matt, but I got to ask you, Mr. Menard. The question is, what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard?
Well, how about the fact that I get to
people want to know.
Yeah, the people, they do want to know what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard. It's the fact that I get to be in a faction with 5, 6. What are we? 8? We're 8. Yeah, that's right. The Ocho. We're 8. Yeah. You know, the greatest sports entertainers of all time. We're the epitome of sports entertainment. How about that?
I love it. Matt, listen, man, let's do this again soon. Thank you so much for the time. This was a real treat.
Thank you. I had a great time. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks so much. We'll see you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Daddy Magic, Matt Menard from the Jericho Appreciation Society. That'll do it, folks. Make sure you click subscribe on the podcast right there on the link. Click subscribe, follow on Twitter at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81 on Instagram, at AndyMCSports. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about the offense, the special teams. Get you ready for the Senior Bowl, the draft. Start looking at some of those deeper draft picks and dive into that here on the show. For Sammy, for Matt, for Lance, I'm Andy McNamara, and you've been listening to the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. Go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.